Hi, my name's Hillary. Today I'm making a lavender wand out of one of my favorite varieties called a Brawlii. It's a classic variety out of France. Really long stem, great smell, beautiful flower color. Right now I'm just picking the long pieces and stripping off the lower sets of the leaves. They're kind of insignificant and they get in the way. Just strip them down, and even these little pieces right here, they kind of get in the way. So just an extra little stripping off. And you always want to find pieces that are close to each other in length. These all kind of look the same, so it's easy. And just keep stripping. And I'm gonna make this with an odd amount of numbers of stems, because then when you go to make your weave for the basket, the pattern comes out correctly. If you use an even number, it comes out kind of funky, but still pretty at the end. They all still smell great. So I think I've got about halfway there. I think I'm going to do 23. It makes a nice size bundle to it. And I always like putting these, I put them on ceiling fans. I staple them to the wall or thumbtack them to the wall, or put them in sock or dresser drawers just to kind of freshen them up, make things smell good. Put them around, if you have pets, put them around where you have dogs where they're a little funky. Lavender's a really good way to cover it up. My dog, he likes it. I'll kind of hit him in the head with it a little bit, just softly like this, and it'll release the smell. Okay, so it's always good to count to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So one more. And these are always fun to make. Small like this is probably 13 pieces. It's kind of an old one, but it's a little small one, kind of a little fun size one. This one will probably end up being about this thick. And you can make them really big and long, but sometimes you end up using this much lavender and it becomes a really big, huge wand. It takes a lot of time, but they're beautiful. Once you have all the flowers stripped, you want to take all the inflorescences and line them up together, as much as possible. It makes the whole bundle tighter. That looks about right. So then from here, I take the yarn that I pre-cut, but I do it at about 2 arm lengths. Generally should be enough. Yeah, that's perfect. And from there, just attach the string at the base of those flowers so you pack down nice and tight. And just do like a double knot. That works fine. Nothing fancy. It gets hidden anyway. And try to move it back up as close to the flowers, and if you need to push any of them back down individually. It's a little meticulous. Okay, and then from there, start to fold the flowers back. Fold the flowers in with the stems. And this will protect the flowers so the smell will remain for years, and little pieces won't fall out everywhere. So then you turn the whole wand upside down and try to take off any extra little pieces of leaves if they're still laying behind. It happens. And try to straighten out the sticks as much as you can so they lay nicely on each other. And then you start bending them backwards, right at the ribbon. And you want to keep them in line as much as possible. And you're going to go all the way around the entire thing, holding it down. And sometimes I end up kind of going around and generally getting the strands in place. And then as I go along a couple, I have to manipulate a little bit to make them go in line. But it falls into place nicely. And sometimes it gets a little difficult holding all this stuff in place, but it makes all the difference. The best you can do is keeping it tight. And then now you start to see a little bit of a pattern starting to develop. And anywhere you see a hole, like right here, I'll just bend another one there. And just kind of keep bending the stems backwards until they all fall into place. And I'll do the last one right there. And that is the start of the basket to hold all the flowers in. Next is the weaving. So let's see, we'll do our best to get the yarn back to where it started. Okay. And then from here you just start weaving a pattern. And you want to go over the stem and under a stem. And you want to make sure you keep these stems still in line. It takes a minute for the pattern of the weave to show up. You have to go around a couple of times. And then after that, it's pretty easy and you can let go of this and take a break if you need to if your hands cramp. And every time you bring the string up, the yarn up, try to bring it up tight again. And so it's all the same level. Over, under. This is fun to do, nice and relaxing. Good way to calm the nerves. It's like mindless work. That's why I like it. I always like crafting. Okay, so over, under, under. Oh, and see, I already have a little mess up right here, so it happens.
How is it messed up?
Because it went over one and under two.
Oh.
So I just have to remember to pick that one up. Sometimes it happens where these don't fall into place properly. So over, under. Over. Now the first part's a little meticulous. Just creating the pattern. Over and under. Over and under. I'm getting close to being done with this part. Okay, and then right here you can see it's going to start matching back up with the ribbon before. So you're going over that stem and under this one. And this is where the pattern really starts to emerge. And you'll see just like a classic basket weave, and I'm going to do it all the way down. So right here, these are getting a bit long and I don't need them all, so that's where the basket will end, or the wand will end. So I'll cut it about right here. About as straight as can be. And that way it makes it easier to work. But this will be about the length of the wand. Has a good shape to it. So then from here, it's all fine. I got everything down to the end of the flower. So now it's just kind of hard to weave anymore. Maybe I'll show right here. It gets a little too tight down in here. So at this point, I would make just a simple tie, just to kind of show where it stops. Try to keep the ribbon on here straight. And kind of tie it tight right here at the bottom. And then from there, you can just kind of wrap the stem like this, doing it tightly along the way. Sometimes I think it's cute to do a knot halfway down. And then just keep tying it. And it ends up protecting the base of this thing for years. But it's good to get it tight. So I'll make a couple of these knots all the way down so the yarn won't stop working or fall apart. Pull tight. And try to go down to the bottom as close as possible. And then I'll do my final tie off. I'll do a double knot right here. Pulling tight every time. Okay. So that's a nice wand.
That's pretty.
Thanks. And then I like to make a little tie at the very, very end so it can hang. So I'll take a little loop, go around with the tie, and then it's not perfect, but let's see, where did that go? I try to make the tie around twice, like a double knot around it, just to make the loop stay. And that should be done.
That's nice.
Oh, I'll make one more knot. Can never have too many, or else it'll all just fall apart. There we go. There you go. Now it's ready to hang. And sometimes I like to just cut a little bit of the excess ribbon off. And it looks pretty if you cut it on a bias or like on an angle, with some shears that maybe cut on the first try. And here you go.
Pretty. And then it dries, right?
Yeah. So it's helpful. You can dry it anyway, but to dry it right upside down, be perfect. And then you'll see it'll start to turn a little more brown here. It won't be so green, and you'll lose a little bit of bulk here as the flowers dry out. So the ribbons will loosen up slightly, but this will remain just like this and remain smelling for years. And even after a while, when you don't smell it, just kind of crunch the flowers when they're dry, and it'll like kind of re-release the oils and smells again. And I've had these smell for like 4 or 5 years, like a really good strong smell. And then after that, it's kind of faint, but
Wow,
I love
thank
them.
you.
Yeah, of course.